Hello everyone, Just Podcast TV is here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on new contents.
Episode 281. I was wrong. After the meeting ended, everyone left. Luna lit a cigarette and sat on the office chair. After taking a deep breath, she closed her mouth and exhaled. She reached out and rubbed her head. There was a saying in the automotive industry, "Little horse pulling a big car," which roughly meant that the engine was not strong enough and the car body was too heavy. At this moment, Luna felt that she was a little horse pulling a big car. She was full of energy, unlimited abilities, but limited strength. Not only did she have to pull this big car, but she also had to deal with Heath and his men pulling the big car back. She was very angry. No wonder when she came back from a foreign company, an old man repeatedly reminded her to be careful. After another long sigh, Luna put out the cigarette in the cylinder. Looking at the time, it was also lunchtime. She took out her phone and called Zach. "Have lunch in the canteen with me. Let's meet." Zach waited for the whole morning. He hoped that this matter would go smoothly and not cause any trouble. But after seeing Luna's dejected face in the canteen, he knew that his original hope could only exist in hope. Carrying a plate, Zach sat opposite of Luna and asked, "Who is pulling the car back?" Luna was slightly stunned, then smiled bitterly and said, "You do quite understand the situation." Luna took a deep breath and looked at the dishes on the plate. She did not have any interest at all. Suddenly she looked up and said to Zach, "You are rich. Set up a factory. I will jump ship and help you manage it." It was Zach's turn to be stunned. He looked at Luna in surprise. "You are not impulsive." Luna was silent for a moment. Then she continued to pick up chopsticks and poke at the food on the plate. Impulsive! She was indeed impulsive. That feeling was as if it was not easy to stay at home. She suddenly thought of running away from home. However, this was just an impulse. In an instant, she suppressed it. No matter how bad a home was, it was still a home. Since she had chosen to return back then, there was no reason for her to run away when she encountered difficulties. However, I still don't understand why some people would insist on dragging things on, even if it was a good thing. Just what is the reason for this? Zach saw Luna frowning and knocked down her plate with his chopsticks. "Let's eat. There will always be hope. Maybe they will be finished tomorrow," Zach said. Luna only rolled her eyes at Zach's comforting words for free. How could there be such a big hope in the world? If everything could be solved by hope, there would be no need to worry about anything. She could just pray at home. Putting down the chopsticks, Luna really did not have the mood to eat anything. After eating, Zach said to Luna, "I will not come to the factory in the future." Luna, who was about to get up and leave, heard this and sat back down. "What do you mean? Are you going to talk to other companies?" This was the problem Luna was most worried about. She did not want to watch such a good opportunity slip away from QZ Group. It was also because of this that she sat back down in her seat. But Zach's answer made her heave a long sigh of relief. Zach smiled and said, "How could that be? Even if it's not for you, I have to do it for myself. The things I have decided to do have never failed before. This is the last thing I want to experience in my life. I've never experienced it before." Luna was relieved. As long as Zach did not withdraw the plan, that was good. Only then could she relax and laugh boldly. "You are so arrogant. You have never failed before." Episode 282. Wrong. Since he had promised Luna, Zach naturally wouldn't leave the factory. He could also take advantage of this period of time to ask Walker for guidance. However, just as he was asking Walker for guidance on this day, the burly Hess came again. Although they often met in the workshop, Hess was still quite disciplined before. Ever since he was taught a lesson, he had been honest. But today was different. He was a little crazy, and not just ordinary. The workshop had clearly prohibited smoking. He came over with a cigarette in his mouth, and Tiger and the others followed behind him. It seemed like Tiger was no longer the leader this time. Hess was the one with the power and confidence in his stride. As expected, Hess, who came close to them, was quite bold. He looked at Zack and Walker from the corner of his eye as if he was making a choice. Finally, Hess pointed at Zack with a cigarette in his mouth and ordered the Tiger arrogantly, "Beat him up! Beat him until he looks like a pig head!" Hess was really arrogant. Zack didn't even know where he got his confidence from. The Tiger had already walked over with his men. He didn't care about the $1,000 from before. It was obvious that he was going to make a move. Zack wasn't going to be polite anymore. He was thinking about how to deal with this group of trash first. However, just as he was about to make a move, Walker suddenly rushed forward and stopped Tiger and the others. He then said to Tess, "What do you mean? You violated the rules and regulations. Smoking and fighting in the workshop are enough for you to be fired." "You want me fired?" Hess was amused at this time. "You actually want to fire me? You even use rules to suppress me, Walker? Walker, you are really interesting. Do you think I, Hess, am scared? You want to fire me? Let me tell you, I am not going to do it anymore. I am rich now." Hess casually turned on his phone and showed the bank balance to Walker and the people around him. "Do you see that? I have $500,000 now. I won $500,000 from the lottery. I have plenty of money. You poor people are all nervous and envious of me. Ha! You are envious of me. It's useless. All you can do is stare blankly at me. You guys aren't even as lucky as I am. $500,000 in the bank. That's a total of $500,000. It's enough for you poor people to not eat or drink for 100 months. I have so much money, I have to eat and drink well, and I still have to do business. Don't even mention how happy my small life is. You're still using the expulsion to scare me? Let me tell you, I'm not doing it anymore. Today, I want to teach you two a lesson." At this moment, Hess really felt like he was invincible. Where did he get this confidence from? It was precisely these $500,000 that gave him boundless confidence, allowing him to unleash $500,000, the invincible spirit that I have in this world. After that, Hess pointed at Walker and said, "Aren't you cocky? Weren't you just meddling in my business earlier? Damn it! I might as well beat you up as well today." Hess turned to Tiger and said, "I'll give you $5,000 in total. Teach these two people a lesson. I'll take responsibility if anything happens to them." The Tiger was a simple man. It didn't matter who the person was. Had someone paid him well, he would do anything. Beating them up was standard. Walker still wanted to say something, but Zack pulled him back. Looking at Hess's smug face, Zack smiled and said to Tiger, "You accepted the money and still do things like this. Okay." The Tiger also had to be proud. "But you also want to buy your own safety for a few $1,000s. What's wrong with that? Then I'm too worthless?" Zack suddenly understood. "You mean, as long as you have money, it's easy to make use of it?" The Tiger laughed loudly. "It might not work if you have enough money, but if you don't have money, it definitely won't work." Since he said so, Zack did not want to make a move. He took out his phone and pulled the Tiger closer. "Come, tell me your bank account number. I'll transfer $10,000 to you right now." The Tiger, who was originally dragged over like a doll, was very unhappy. It was very faceless. However, after hearing the $10,000, he immediately gave up on the current fight. He wanted that money. It could buy quite a lot. He hurriedly told Zack his bank account number in high spirits. A few seconds later, Tiger's phone received a message notification. He didn't even need to look at Tiger's phone. Just by looking at the smile on Tiger's face, one could tell that Tiger received the money. "Tiger, the money has also been received. remember to beat him up until he looks like a pig head before bringing him over. Tiger was in a good mood and shouted lively, "Good brother, don't worry. I promise I won't beat him to death." Tiger, who was originally brought here by Hess, now led his men towards Hess. Hess was so scared at that time. "No, Tiger! What do you mean by this? Why are you approaching me? What do you think you are doing?" Episode 283. More money. The tiger approached Hess and slapped him on the head. "You got a hammer?" Seeing that the tiger was really going to attack, Hess quickly stopped him. "Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! I'll pay too!" After saying that, Hess no longer felt more at ease facing the beating, but he immediately became angry again. "You want to compete with me in terms of money? Let me tell you, I have plenty of money. I will take all of it out and smash you to death without even blinking." Now that he had money, Hess could not be bullied anymore. He had to live up to his reputation. Thus, in the next moment, he asked for Tiger's bank account. "Come, I will transfer 20,000 to you. Beat him to death." Tiger was no longer stupid. "Send the money over first." He understood that Hess wanted to fight Zach for more money. This was a good relationship. However, he did not want to just eat one side. He wanted to eat both sides. In the end, whoever had no money would be beaten up. He would not refund the money anyway. After successfully receiving the $20,000 that Hess transferred over, the tiger was very happy. He didn't do anything at all, and he already had $30,000 in his pocket. It was so comfortable. He happily led his brothers and the tiger walked towards Zach, who was busy working in the driver's seat. "Hey, brother, don't do it anymore. He transferred another $20,000. You..." Before he could finish, Tiger's phone rang again with a message notification. After that, Zach instructed him, $100,000. Beat him until he looks like a pig and drag him here. The tiger was stunned. This was bullshit. $100,000? Why did you come here to work with $100,000 just lying around? And when he picked up his phone and opened the text message, he saw that it really was $100,000. After being stunned for a while, Tiger raised his thumb and said, "I got your back, brother." After the competition with Zach, the tiger went to find Hess. Hess was so scared that he bared his teeth. "This isn't a game. I can still take the $120,000 to $130,000 you casually gave away." Just as he was in a daze from the $100,000, the tiger once again approached him and slapped him. "It's $100,000. Brother Zach has already paid $100,000. The money is already fucking coming over. It's a large sum. Are you unable to continue?" As he spoke, the tiger continued to slap Hess's ear, causing Hess to feel annoyed. 10! 10! After a long time, Hess finally mustered up his courage and said, $110,000! He originally wanted to shout $101,000, but he thought that 1,000 was not very generous, so he endured the pain and added $10,000. But even this 10,000 made his heart ache. Blood dripped. If he would have known earlier, he wouldn't have installed the wall today. Before his act was completed, the $130,000 from the beginning to the end was gone. It was a pain in the heart. However, his heart ached in exchange for another slap from Tiger. "You are such a stingy person. You are not generous. Hurry up and transfer the money." He still had to spend money and get beaten up. Hess felt that he had been wronged. However, when he saw that Zach was leisurely working there and did not take him seriously, Hess felt that he had been ignored and was very angry. After transferring the $110,000 to Tiger's account, his confidence once again exploded. Beat him up for me! Beat him up! Just as Hess finished shouting, Zach had already transferred the money to Tiger. $200,000. After beating him up, drag him over here. Hess was really frightened. He thought that he was already very rich just because he had $500,000. However, he didn't expect Zach to be even richer. Moreover, he didn't even blink when he spent the money. He had been working from the beginning to the end. He was already so rich, yet he was still working. If he wasn't mocking him, what else could it be? In reality, it wasn't. Zach just didn't want to give him a proper look. He wasn't even qualified. Similarly, in the driver's seat, Walker whispered, I know you are rich. You can't lose like this. Zach replied with a smile, Don't worry, I'm just here for the show. I can afford to spend this little amount of money. Walker still wanted to say something, but Hess's angry roar came from outside. $210,000! I have to get rid of him today! Tiger clicked his tongue. You are such a bull! You can add 10,000 at one go. Learn from Big Brother. Big Brother is so open and bright. That's not a lack of money. Didn't you say you had 500,000 just now? I've already calculated it for you. You only have around 100,000 left. Why don't you transfer all of it to me? I don't care if he pays me back or not. As long as you transfer all the money to me, I'll cripple him for you. After transferring money time and time again, Hess really didn't have much money left. He only had a few $100,000 left, and all of it had been remembered by the Tiger. There were so many people around watching him earn money. He really did not have the nerve to refuse. However, when he thought about how lucky he was and finally got the $500,000 lottery ticket, he lost it, just like that. He really could not bear to part with it. At this moment, Zach, who was in the driver's seat, suddenly asked Walker, Do you think he would be willing to part with the rest of it? Episode 284. It's good to have money. Walker didn't even look at Zach. I'm not as bored as you guys. I'd rather tighten my grip. Zach said, Walker, you really... As the two of them were talking, Hess finally gritted his teeth and made up his mind. He walked to the front of Tiger and said, Tiger, return the money I gave you earlier to me. You can beat me up again. He didn't want his reputation to be intact. What did he want? This fight was too expensive. $500,000, and he wanted it all back. Tiger was also surprised. He didn't expect Hess to do such a cowardly thing, let alone him. Even those who were watching from the side couldn't help but ridicule Hess. Hess, do you have any shame? You are the one who brought me here. Why do you want to beat him up? You were just pretending to be rich before, but now I have become listless? Don't be this way. You have won $500,000. Let's not make men fight for our dignity. We will give it our all and beat Zach up. What did money count for? Of course, reputation is the most important thing. Regardless of whether the others were mocking him or instigating him, Hess had already made up his mind and refused to let go. He had made up his mind. With $500,000 in his hands, it was better than nothing. In the future, he would have a few hundred per month if he just used the interest. He stopped being angry. He also did not live up to his expectations. What kind of face is this? All of you, get lost! Thus he begged Tiger once again. Brother Tiger, I beg you, just return that money to me. I'll return it to you, pig. The Tiger was furious at that moment. He wanted to take back the money that he had given him. Was there such a logic in the world? The Tiger was smashed to the ground, by Hess with a fierce punch. Then, the Tiger and his subordinates pounced on Hess and gave him a violent beating. Even in this situation, Hess held his head and shouted, "Beat him up too! Beat him up too! Remember to return the money to me!" The more he shouted, the fiercer the Tiger beat him up. After 5 or 6 minutes, Hess did not even have the strength to snort. He fell to the ground with a swollen face and footprints all over his body. He didn't know whether it was his internal injuries or his mouth that had been broken, but he still managed to stand up and spit out a mouthful of blood. Then, he said to Tiger with great difficulty, "Brother Tiger, return the money to me." After 3 consecutive kicks, Hess fell to the ground. He waved his hand generously. "Let's go, brothers, we're done. We have hundreds of thousands in our hands. Today we're going to eat and drink well together with brother." The Tiger swaggered off. It was obvious that he did not want to give Zach any money. Zach did not care. He just continued to work and let him take the money away. But at this moment, Hess roared angrily, "I will find someone to kill you!" Tiger laughed loudly. "Ha ha, then just you wait. When I'm full, I'll beat you up when I come back." He was very arrogant, proud, and arrogant. He formed a sharp contrast with Hess, who was in dire straits. Hess did not care about arguing with Zach anymore. He got up and came up to Zach. "Zach, let's go and ask for money from Tiger. That's our money. Why should we let him take it away?" Zach pushed him aside. "I'm not short of money. If you are short of money, you can go ask for it yourself." Hess was stunned. He only replied angrily after a long time, "You idiot!" Zach sneered and then turned his head to look at him and said in a low voice, You were an idiot when you said you wanted to find someone to kill him. I'm not going to fight with you for such an honorable honor. Keep it up." Ignoring Hess, Zach continued in the driver's seat. According to Walker's words, it would be better to tighten the screw rather than empty it. That night, at about 11 o'clock, the Tiger came out of the Pheasant Bar in satisfaction. Having money in his pocket was just awesome. Standing by the roadside, he prepared to wave his hand to stop a taxi. But at that moment, a black business car stopped in front of him. Episode 285. That's not appropriate. "Hey, you have good eyesight when it comes to illegal renting. You know I stopped to take a taxi, so stop!" As he was talking, Tiger felt that something was wrong when he got into the car. It was because there was a person sitting next to him. And most importantly, he was wearing a black mask. He asked in surprise, "Why are you wearing a mask at night? Are you trying to rob a bank, you idiot? The bank won't open at night." Donnie, who was wearing headgear, was amused. "I don't know why. I have to clean it up, you bastard. You have really dirtied my hands." That was what he said. However, the dagger in his hand was really not vague. With a poof, it immediately went into the Tiger's thigh. The Tiger howled in pain, but before he could make a sound, Donnie blocked his mouth with a rag. He was very familiar with doing this. In the next moment, he ordered the GTR who was driving, "Let's go to the unmarked common graves. It's convenient for us to bury people there." The Tiger was scared silly. His legs were shaking. Zach did not want to kill the Tiger. He just wanted Donnie to teach him a lesson. Since he took the $100,000 back then, he had to do something that was worth $100,000. In the end, when he took the money, he still came to find trouble with Zach. This was not appropriate. There was no such thing as doing business in the world. So that night, not only did Zach get back the money he transferred, he also got back the small amount of money that Hess had. But he didn't want the money. He gave all of it to Donnie and the other two to find a place to have fun. As for Hess, the next day at work, Hess was taken away by the police. He was suspected of hurting and kidnapping and was reported to the police by Tiger. Hess was anxious. I didn't do anything! I really didn't do anything! The police asked, "Didn't you say yesterday that you wanted to find someone to kill him?" Hess quickly said with a bitter face, "I was just talking about bragging. I didn't have the guts. I really didn't do it." The police nodded. "Yes, we didn't say you did it. We just want you to cooperate with the investigation. Please cooperate." They said that he should cooperate. The two police officers twisted their arms and pressed their necks to get the police car up. At the same time, a group of police officers also found Zach and wanted to understand what happened yesterday. Zach told them the truth about what happened yesterday. But regarding the tiger, he said, "I don't know. I don't know anything. Last night I stayed at the Titan Hotel. I stayed in the hotel all night. The hotel should have security cameras to prove it to you." The policeman in charge of questioning him was slightly stunned. "You stayed at the Titan Hotel?" The Titan Hotel, a 5-star hotel, the most luxurious hotel in the area. How could he have stayed at a 5-star hotel? Even the cheapest room in a 5-star hotel would cost more than $1,000 per night. Zach was just an ordinary worker, but he should have stayed at a more low-cost hotel. The police could not figure it out, so they invited Zach to leave as well. "Just go back and cooperate with the investigation. If there's nothing else, we will send you back." Zach said, "Oh." Then he said to Walker, "Walker, I'll take a leave. Don't deduct my salary." The police were annoyed they didn't understand what Zach was saying and why he was lying about being in a pricey hotel, not even to mention where the hundreds of thousands of dollars came from. After bringing everything back, Zach was questioned. He was asked where he was last night and where the money he gave the tiger came from. Zach, on the other hand, was quite cooperative. "I only earned a few $100,000. Where could I have gotten it from?" The police were infuriated by Zach's big tone. "Aren't you afraid of losing your tongue? It's only a few $100,000. It's just a few $100,000. How much money do you have to make you speak like that?" Zach thought about it seriously. "It should be 10 billion. Another policeman was holding a cup and was drinking water. When he heard this, he spat it out. It was a long time before he replied, "This guy is crazy." These words were implicit, but thinking about it carefully, it was nothing more than asking Zach not to brag. But Zach really didn't. Moreover, he estimated that even the earth would not be able to contain him, even if he used half of his money to buy large portions of the market. After all, he had too much capital. He said to the police seriously and honestly, "Police comrades, you can check on me. My identity card is with you. I guess you can check my business registration certificate too. If you are too lazy to check online, you can find me there. Zach, chairman and general manager of Dream Group. You can check it out." After all, they were cooperating with the investigation. Zach was not restricted by his personal freedom, so he took out a cigarette after saying that and smoked comfortably. The two police officers looked at each other, then the old one gestured for the young one to check online. Episode 286, Heaven's Duty. Wow, it's really true. The Dream Group has just been established for less than a year, and it owns Dream Group, Dream Film Company, and is rated as a phenomenal company by economists. Its development speed far surpasses any other company in the world. In just a short year, its total assets have reached $10 billion. After the police finished reading the introduction of the Dream Group, they saw the photo of the chairman of the Dream Group. Wasn't that right? He was the one they invited back to cooperate with the investigation. The police obviously couldn't rely on any encyclopedia on the internet to verify their identities, so they investigated a lot of information on the internet. As expected, what was said on the internet was true. The man named Zach in front of them was the chairman and general manager of the phenomenal Dream Group. The two policemen were stunned. They could not imagine it. "No, you are the big boss of a company? and you are working as a first-line worker in a factory? What are you up to? Zach replied matter-of-factly, I want to work with people to understand the industry better. Otherwise, what do you think I'm doing in the sports car factory? To train my body? The two policemen suddenly understood, as expected of the big boss of a phenomenal company. People always do things reasonably. He personally went to the front line to inspect the equipment and watch the cooperation. Only then could he see the most accurate and precise thing. Amazing. Then, let it go. Ask the chief to arrange for the best car in our institute to send Director Marquez back. Oh, right. Don't forget to tell the relevant departments in the factory to prove that Director Marquez is only cooperating with our work. Don't cause any other impact. Oh, right. Director Marquez's identity must also be kept secret. This is a business secret. Let's not leak it. The young policeman in charge of recording scratched his head. Deputy, this is not appropriate, right? We haven't figured the situation out yet. The deputy director picked up his teacup and did not look at the young policeman beside him. Come, find me a reason why a billionaire like you kidnapped and blackmailed someone for $500,000. Come, find me one reason. The young police really couldn't find it. In fact, the deputy director didn't just judge based on this point. The main reason was that there was no evidence and that this matter was related to Zach. Thus, it would be better to send the billionaire back in a proper manner than to detain him and cause trouble for him. Otherwise, if he really offended Zach and went to the city's Trade and Commerce office to file a complaint, he would cause massive problems for the police department. Zach was soon sent back to the factory. Nothing happened. The police had even informed the relevant personnel about this matter, proving that it was just an investigation. There were no other problems. However, Hess was clearly not so lucky. He had indeed returned in the afternoon, but he had returned by himself. Comparing the two and adding the previous evidence, Hess was smoking and fighting in the workshop, violating the rules and regulations. So he was fired. Hess was so aggrieved. He had lost his job, and of the $500,000 lottery ticket, was only left with a few $100,000 in his bank account. He felt so unlucky. However, after he left the factory, he realized that there was something even more unfortunate waiting for him. Tiger had a bleeding leg and came out of the hospital without caring about the doctor's obstruction. He brought a few of his brothers to block Hess. Damn it! You still dare to find someone to mess with me, and you dare to steal my money? Let's see if I won't cripple you today! Hess was on the verge of tears. Who did I offend? My money was taken away, and I got beaten up. Why are you taking revenge on me now? The matter between Hess and Tiger had passed. Zach did not pay attention to what had happened in the end. It was not worth his attention. He was more concerned about two things. One was whether Luna could resolve the delay and stop of Heath and the others and reach a commercial partnership with him for the hydrogen-powered vehicles. The other was the conflict between Michael and Kyle. This was good. A few days had passed, but there was still no movement from the two of them. This was not right. Could it be that Kyle held it in and waited for an opportunity to stab Michael in the back? If that was the case, then this uncle of his was really too patient. He had to be more vigilant in the future. However, on the second afternoon, Zach received a call from Xena. Episode 287. He's a traitor. Brother, one of Michael's men was killed. After that, Xena said that the furious Michael sent someone to investigate and found out about Kyle's subordinates. Coincidentally, the man was the one Michael bribed earlier. However, the only thing that was found was a corpse. This made Michael understand. This was Kyle's intentional revenge. He was clearly telling Michael that he was the one who killed the man. The lackey that was sent over was killed by me. The two of them have started to fight at home. Brother, you don't know, but Uncle's disguise is too deep. I saw that he was so sick that he couldn't even beat up a woman. But when he fought with Michael, even Michael's bodyguard was beaten to death on the spot. If it wasn't for Grandpa's quick departure, I'm afraid Michael wouldn't have been able to keep his life. Just like that, Uncle broke a few ribs and ruptured his spleen, causing him to be hospitalized. At this moment, Uncle is being punished by his grandfather to kneel in the ancestral hall. Zach had already understood that Kyle was skilled in the martial arts when he went back last time. This was not something an ordinary person could do to someone who was so well trained. However, he did not expect Kyle's revenge to be so direct and powerful. He directly beat Michael up and sent him to the hospital. Judging from this, he must have really believed the relationship between Manser and his father. This was a good thing. Zach didn't ask Kyle to fight Michael so fiercely. He just wasn't in the mood to cause trouble for himself and the people around him. After understanding what had happened in the family, Zach reminded Xena again. Xena, don't get involved in the family matters. Just pretend that you don't know anything. This matter has nothing to do with you from the beginning to the end. As long as you go to Grandpa's place from time to time every day, neither of them will dare to touch you. Xena replied on the other end of the phone. Okay, brother. I understand. Don't worry. I won't give them a chance to hurt me. Xena gradually grew older and more sensible. This made Zach very relieved. At the same time, Luna's side raised the issue of the hydrogen car in the group's high-level meeting again. This time, she had made sufficient preparations. She was prepared to be righteous and not ask Heath to back down. She only wanted Heath's lackeys to discover their conscience and awaken the conscience in their hearts. But in reality, she had overestimated these lackeys and underestimated their desire for benefits. After Heath announced that there was no need to discuss this matter, his lackeys stood behind him once again and did not take a step back. It was, as the chairman Max said, this was not his company alone, so more than half of the people had to agree to form a decision. But sadly, although Heath's lackeys were less than half, most of the remaining people close just shut up. As a result, the number of people standing on Luna's side was pitifully low. It made her angry and helpless once again. Young man, it is good to make achievements and achieve results, but you cannot be impatient. You must be pragmatic. Food must be eaten one bite at a time. We have to walk step by step. We have to be steady and seek victory. Facing Heath's mocking smile, Luna sneered. No matter how stable it is, there will be grass growing on our turtle shell. After the meeting ended, the more Luna thought about it, the angrier she became. She really could not understand why she was stopped when it was clearly a good thing. She grabbed the documents and angrily walked into the chairman's office. She threw the documents on Mac's desk. It is obviously a great thing. Why can't we just push it? She asked Mac. Chairman, can't you think of a way? You only know how to hold meetings and then hold meetings all day long. You are the chairman. Mac rubbed his forehead, seemingly very helpless. Do you think I don't want to? How many times have I told you about this? This is not my company alone. If it was my company alone, I would have already decided on this matter. You don't know about this matter at our level. You don't understand. Luna crossed her arms and sneered. Yes, I don't understand. I just know that as a company, we should make money. This principle is the same as being a gatekeeper and guarding the door. As a worker, we must do a good job. When a company does not want to make money, the most important thing is not to do business based on earning money. We don't want to do business based on a business that can make money. We don't want to fight wars that can make a comeback. We spend all day thinking about things that the company should not think about. Then what's the use of this company? In my opinion, it is better to let this company go to waste.